In the United States, we're protected under free speech. We can say what we want. Nothing happens to us. But what if that wasn't the case? What if some other country decided to come into your country, essentially kidnap you and kill you, murder you? What would you do? You couldn't do anything. Your country would have to figure it out, piece it back together. And if you don't trust your country, are they going to fail you? Or are they going to save your ass? Save your ass.
Plus locker room talk.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Another episode.
Woo. Tell me when we're live. I'm going to do a line.
Yeah, okay. You do your line, bud. So what I'm really talking about now is a current event which was asked of us by our viewers to do. Something recent, fresh. Jamal Khashoggi.
Brand spanking new. 5 weeks ago, right?
Well, actually, they're piecing it together. So Jamal Khashoggi, how he was...
Khashoggi.
Yeah. He was essentially lured to a consulate and murdered and dismembered for speaking his mind, essentially. He was a international reporter, investigator. And that's the
Was
reason.
he a citizen?
He was living in Turkey at the time. I don't know what his citizenship is, but that is a good question.
Well, because I read during some of the articles that he was constantly being lured back by the good man, our good friend, and that he constantly was avoiding the situation.
I guess he is a Saudi.
Is he? Okay.
So the whole reason that he was at the consulate to begin with is that a week prior he went there to get a marriage license, get married to his wife, and they told him to come back in a week. So the moment he stepped foot in that consulate, there was a spy that overheard what he was saying. They told him to come back so they could plan his death, his eventual murder. So that spy flew back to Saudi Arabia, gathered up like a dozen people, planned it out, probably talked to the crown prince, came back, and they set it up. So when he came back that next week.
Team of 14 men, right?
Yeah, something like that.
14 specially armed soldiers showed up, found him, kidnapped him, and that was the last anyone ever saw him.
Yeah.
And that was in a different embassy because they have the footage, right?
Yeah, that was in Turkey's embassy in Istanbul.
Istanbul.
Yeah.
Istanbul.
So it's kind of nuts that another country can decide to execute somebody in another country. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like pushing the boundary pretty far.
And the best part about it is probably that Saudi Arabia is like we don't know what happened to him. And then like Turkey's like, well, we have a video of him going into the embassy. And then they're like, oh, well, I don't know. He left. Like, we saw him leave. It's like, we have video of another person looks like him, but is wearing different shoes than he entered.
Oh, is that the part?
Yeah. Because they had a lookalike that went in and left wearing Khashoggi's clothes, but not his shoes. Because I guess the shoes didn't fit in this case. And I just, it doesn't make any sense what he was doing either. They have video of him leaving. Like, so his wife pulled up. Dropped him off and was waiting outside. I'll call it.
Bye, Khashoggi.
Yeah.
Like, that's our last name. That's weird. Call me by my first name. But anyway.
I can't wait to marry you, Khashoggi. And then, so the guy gets murdered. And like 3 hours later, the impersonator walks out the back door and leaves his wife, supposed wife, that's sitting in the front.
Well, you can't go with her. She's going to know right away. It's an impersonator. So
well, of course. But they have this all on tape.
Right.
And these consulate embassies are probably bugged like nobody's business. So you can probably, and they're probably taped all around. Apparently they are. So you could
From
find
every
out.
direction.
Yeah, you can find out who goes in, who comes out, and then that guy, the guy who's the impersonator, he leaves and goes to like his hotel dressed as Khashoggi, pretending to be him, and then he gets changed back into his normal clothes, and he's seen later in front of an elevator joking with somebody and laughing. So he's yucking it up after he just witnessed somebody get killed.
We don't know that he saw
Supposedly.
the murder, but probably did.
Uh-huh.
Hey, stranger, put these clothes on and go out the back door. Okay. It's Wednesday.
Yeah. Slip him a 50. He just flew here from Saudi Arabia. He needs some new clothes.
Mm.
Might have a
Try these shoes on. They don't fit. Damn it. Someone here who has brownish shoes.
So I guess
put them on.
How do you feel about, like, because we're just talking about it now. They could decide that, like, hey, let's go grab those guys and bring them to an embassy and do what we want. I mean,
I think I read death penalty is in play for all of them.
It better be. I mean, they have them all on tape going in there. And they're all like, well, I don't know what happened to them.
Well, then here's a good question. Then let's say we find out that our CIA did its own research, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, originally, we kind of thought it was the Saudi prince. What's his name?
Mohammed bin Salman is the crown prince of Saudi Arabia.
Mohammed bin, my man. Anyway, he took over power in a pretty ubiquitous way. Did I use that word right?
I don't know if you did. A universal way? Widespread way?
I just wanted to say ubiquitous.
He didn't take power. He's in line to take over for his father, who is like in his 80s. Yeah. I don't know that guy's name though.
Okay. So anyway, the prince. Why? What were his motives? Is what I'm getting at.
I think Khashoggi was an outspoken advocate against him, so he was getting frustrated that someone was speaking out, and also the people associated with the supposed murder. They were like, they have photos of the crown prince next to him. They were part of his bodyguards, like his detail. And then like these people are all interconnected. So like that guy knew that guy from college and they worked together. And so it's like of the dozen
CIA,
people.
When they did their research into the program, I don't know how they got this, but they got phone records. And he had phone calls with members of these 14 or so people.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, check that out.
They were saying...
And they were overheard saying things, right?
Yeah, that the deed is done or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Like, tell your boss we're done. Something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I think they have more information than they're letting on, and they won't tip their hand. I'm pretty sure that, A, that the consulate's bugged, and B, there's probably, like, people joked that, like, he was wearing, like, an Apple Watch or something, like it was actively recording what was happening. And that this might actually be real. I don't know if it's true or not. And that like during his murder, like it was still recording after he'd been killed. And like somebody else from an adjacent room was like, "Hey, can you keep it down or go somewhere else? Because it's getting too loud in here." Like he was like, "I don't want to be blamed for this." Like somebody that was just like a general that was just trying to stay out of it. He's like, "Hey, I don't want anything to do with this."
It's whack.
It's fucked up. Drop the F-bomb for a true fucked up situation.
That's true. I said whack. Like the PG in case any of our PG listeners are listening. So,
how did they kill him?
Tranquilizers. Way too many tranquilizers.
I wish it was that easy. I think
Well, then they dismembered him after the fact, didn't they? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the guy who... So this is the supposed thing also, is that Khashoggi was making a lot of noise because he was still awake and aware of what was happening to him as they were hacking him up. So, like, again, this is a violation of...
Hearsay?
I guess, I don't know. Human rights, I would say, but it's, like, also, like, a code. Like to do that to another human being, how could you do that and not have repercussions mentally, morally? You have, like, it's completely immoral to do something violent against somebody and then to have them actively in pain. It just, like, seems ridiculous that...
Suffering right before they die, like torture, essentially?
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest with you. And I don't know which government agencies do it and which don't, and which allow it and which don't. Because what's the U.S. stance on torture, technically?
Didn't we have the...
We don't do it, but we do it. Guantanamo Bay.
Well, yeah, Guantanamo. So they had.
You didn't practice that one.
I was about to say Guatemala, Guantanamo. So they had like waterboarding, which they found to be illegal, right? You can't waterboard people. I think it's sticking a rag in their mouth and then dripping water on their face. So like water makes you so you choke a little bit, and then
I think the water goes up your nose. So what happens is your body, because your mouth is covered and you're breathing out your nose, when your nose is your only air passage and water starts going up it, your body freaks out. It thinks it's drowning. Like it sends a whole bunch of messages like thrash around, like, you're dying. So it really messes. It's not good.
Yeah, I hope I never am waterboarded.
I hope.
So what's the best form of torture? I don't know.
Well, then we can go back to the Iron Maiden and like those things and like the spike contraptions and people being stretched and quartered. Like it gets bad. But that's what happened when they didn't have internet or like Netflix.
Just keep going. There's something I wanted to bring up, but it's not.
We'll bring it back a little bit. So torture is almost universally understood as wrong. There's a gray area when we, in any morality class, they say, we've captured an enemy intelligence agent. He knows where the bomb is. It could kill hundreds, if not thousands of people at a church or a mosque or somewhere innocent where they're just praying. Should we torture him if we could get the information?
The utilitarian in you says yes.
Oh, yes, it does. Listen to that. I mean, this guy bringing back A terms, B pronouncing them right, and C. Exactly.
Pat myself on the back.
So.
Yeah. I think you have to. And then if you look at other countries, I mean, they don't give a shit. Like prisoners of war, they torture the fuck out of people.
Right, but does that... If you didn't torture anyone ever, as long as your country was around,
could you do it?
Impossible. But let's say you could do it, right? And you never started, you never did it. Even when these situations arose, wouldn't you in some way hold a moral high ground forever? Like I don't know.
Give me a situation.
It's like
if I am forced personally to do it, like I know something is happening and that person knows, like let's say like the movie Prisoners. Like there was a kid that was kidnapped and held somewhere, and the father of that kid had the person who he presumed knew where he was, so he was torturing that person to save his son. It's like in that situation, I think I would have to do that for the sake of my son. Like you would have to force that person to tell you.
Saving your own kid?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a real gray area. So what about killing someone for similar reasons?
That they were going to do harm?
To dozens, if not hundreds of people.
I think
bomb somewhere. Let's say, how about the Hitler one? You can go back in time and murder 6-year-old Hitler. Would you do it? You're still killing a kid. I would not do it. I would never do it.
How old is Hitler? Can I wait till he's 13? 14?
Nope. 6-year-old.
The first time he hurts a mouse or something.
How about he's 5? Ooh.
That's too young, man. Plus, you don't know the repercussions of that. So you could kill him and then someone else could be a better dictator than he was. And then actually take over the world.
And a better tactician. Yeah, you never know. Right.
Not have syphilis. I think he had syphilis and not go crazy.
Did he?
I think he went crazy at the end, yeah. But
he's not dead yet. But
another gray area is if like someone's coming to your house to attack your family. It's like at what point, like the moment they step on your lawn, before they get to your lawn, are they knocking on your door? I don't think you can kill them outside.
No, once eminent domain is inside the house. I don't know what eminent means.
Eminent domain's like when they repossess your house. I don't know if eminent applies. There's a castle rule. I think there's a castle rule in
Is it called
Texas.
Castle rule?
Yeah, where you can.
I think it was called eminent domain. I really did. I mean, I could be way off. I thought that's the one where maybe
eminent domain is when they take your house because it's like on the path to like a road needs to go where your house is. So it's for the betterment of the society.
Never mind. Do not shoot any bankers coming to take your house.
Eminent domain, Nick said.
Stand your ground is in Jersey and PA, I think. Stand your ground.
Stand your ground rule, yeah. Or the sake of someone else's safety, The weird part is like you have to make sure, if someone's being attacked by somebody and you save that person or you're making an attempt to defend them because of their honor, like if my neighbor was in trouble,
you have to kiss them really hard after the fact. Even no matter who it is, it could be an 88-year-old man. You just saved his life. You got to kiss him on the lips so hard to prove you were saving his life.
Make sure they
excuse me, ma'am. Wait. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm gonna have to step in here and give you a little bit of a kiss. I'm 7. Just kissing on that kid. So save that girl's life.
They say in your home, vehicle, or workplace, you're allowed to use the castle doctrine, which is a stand your ground rule. It's curious.
What if you live, work, and worship out of your vehicle?
Like the lawyer? Was that lawyer? The Buick lawyer or something like that?
What was he? The Buick lawyer?
The Cadillac
he lived
lawyer?
out of his car?
Yeah, he lived out of his car.
God damn, that's awesome. Terrible.
So I think you're covered on all grounds there. That's like a triple decker right there.
You can kill anyone from your car. You can do drive-bys.
You're covered. But if someone's like on your lawn and you shoot them, you have to really prove that they're about to do something awful. Like they have to be holding a grenade or something. I think if anyone's holding a grenade, you're allowed to shoot them.
What if they break into your house?
They say, like, if you're going to shoot them, you better shoot them in the front and not the back because they could claim that they were fleeing. If you
they were running away. Well, what if you shoot them in the front and they were literally just going to rob you? Is that justified? I had no idea.
If you shoot them in the front and they're just going to rob you, so it's not lethal force?
Yeah, they were just breaking in to take stuff and then sell it. Like they jimmied the door with a screwdriver. They came in, the screwdriver's still outside. They didn't have it in their hand, and they just had bags that were empty, and they're going to stuff all your money in it.
Huh. So I just broke into the house to see what it would look like if it were ever to go on sale. You know, I'm just trying to stake out what's in the neighborhood here. How much would you sell?
I'm a broker.
Yeah,
I'm a broker.
I have my real estate license. I think your intent, if you're breaking into someone's domicile,
is to harm them.
Is to harm them. You have to assume that they're going to do that. But in Khashoggi's case, he walked into the embassy. So the line there is, if you are jumped by a group of people, can you stand your ground at that point? Like, will you have time to react, to defend yourself? You don't have time to adjust to the situation and take an accurate
toll. Right, you don't have time. I mean, even if you could, you don't have the time.
Yep.
Khashoggi, man.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Rough way to go.
Yeah, and let's talk about like the political aspect of it. So
yeah, that's where I'm strongest. Let's go.
The Saudis are playing a weird shitty game of like true crime here, and they keep revealing stuff that they don't know, and then Turkey must have surveillance on all that. So every time Saudi says something, Turkey comes back and says, no, well, we have this footage, we have this recording, X, Y, and Z. They're like, why? Like, Turkey and the Sauds, I guess they're battling a little bit because they're in their same region. As far as what we care about, they're both shitty countries. I mean, there's good people in those countries, but like,
of course.
Turkey is a dictatorship now. It was a democracy. It was planned to be like a balance between...
One of them allows foreigners in it. Like, just the whole country is foreigners. No one from the United States. And I was like...
Just bring them all in.
American joke.
Just bring them all in.
It's a joke. It's an American joke.
So they're all foreigners to us?
Yes. Yes, exactly. You got it.
Just making sure the audience got it.
Hey, the audience. America sucks. Just kidding. Because we realize our foolishness sometimes. We're going to get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Possibly. So Turkey is now an authoritarian dictatorship under this guy, Erdogan. And Erdogan, he essentially took by force the country and decided, so like he would say the Constitution of Turkey says that there's going to be a ruling power, and that ruling power is checked by the military, because the military is trying to enforce that it is a democracy and voting happens normally, and that there isn't some sort of, you call it like a caliphate, maybe like a religious-based leader that is centralizing power. So the whole purpose is that the military comes in to defend the honor of the citizens. But it could be both ways, that the
Right,
the
he's
military
using it
takes
to flip power a different way.
Yeah. So there was an attempt at a coup, which was in the Constitution to do so, because Erdogan was taking power. And after that coup, which only lasted like a couple days, they just wiped off like 200,000 people. Just like they're like, I don't like, you're a teacher, you're speaking like free speech, you might be against me, I'm just gonna eliminate you, detain you. You know, all the officials that were like, I don't even know if they were for the coup or maybe it was like suspect, but
maybe they were just the other party. You know what I mean?
So I guess the question to you is, if you're going to detain 200,000 people, how long does it take you to vet those 200,000 people and detain them?
10 years.
Yeah, well, I think this happened within like a couple weeks where they actually took everyone that they decided was against them. So there's no possible way they could have just like really honestly looked at who was against them or for them. It's like that
They
Nick over there. That Nick
word
over
of
there.
mouth. Yeah.
He can't be good. He can't. There's no way he.
Something sinister about his stare.
Yeah. So Turkey, I don't know. I mean, as far as like U.S. interest, it's like the stable countries are better because you know who's ruling them, I guess. But as far as like
partly, I guess,
having an allegiance with them, it's kind of a weird thing. It's like, okay, we might get a little oil from them, or they might like enforce military rule in certain areas. It's like, do you want a melee out there with like a whole bunch of random groups fighting and rebels and stuff? It's like, probably not. So we're gonna back like a dictator government for now. It's kind of
weird.
Yeah, and it's
this anti-democratic.
It happens all the time.
Look on things. It does.
So the U.S. backs somebody that's just a better option of two shitty options, and they're not backing.
It's money based usually, right?
Yeah, I guess economically based. Like which one has the most advantage to you?
Right.
And the CIA actually think followed up with the New York Times article. It said that it looks like there's things leading to the Crown Prince, and all of these people are involved. And then I think Trump came back and said, I don't care.
No,
lazy shit.
Isn't Trump's thing is like, I didn't really read the whole thing. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. That's a good way to go. Because then you can't say I did read it and it's totally right, but then it would contradict myself. I'd rather say I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read about these facts.
Yeah. I feel like these people are telling me the truth, but I don't know anything else. I don't know how to read or write. I'm just going to say stuff.
I like to use my heart when I believe people.
Make sure you clean the forest floor. It could start forest fires.
Are you talking about raking?
Raking those leaves. Hopefully somebody gets that reference. Because that's so dumb. That is so dumb. Sorry, President Trump. Donald Trump. Keywords.
Our views just went up.
Ba-ding, ba-ding. Let's just include sex in North Korea in it, and then that'll be the greatest video of all time. Like our
here's a question.
Episode 8.
So, like, let's say our leader sucked. I'm not saying that. That would be terrible. He could have us dismembered and killed, and et cetera, et cetera. He probably would.
Yeah.
So I would say if we did have a bad leader, like, what does that say about us? Like, can we also say that, our leader's bad, we're all cool? Like, is there a way to do that? Like, I say the leader of Turkey is so-and-so. He's a real J-off. Does that mean all Turkish people are? Like, do you know what I mean?
So this came up in our like privacy episode that like you need the privacy
and
in order to...
And the microbiology episode.
Yeah.
Is an organism the constituent of a parts or the majority of what's going on? What rules? What rules the roost? You know? So it kind of comes up a lot.
It's becoming stranger now because like with like nuclear powers and people who have like ultimate military control, is there ever a situation where a citizen can have equal power or a group of citizens? Like you pretty much have to be a rebel group that controls a military aspect to overthrow a government as big as the U.S. And we're not saying we're doing that.
This podcast will take over the government. We're giving it back to the goddamn people. We get some views. They're like, yeah, I like these guys. They got spunk. They're going up against the president. We're going to be dead in 12 hours.
It's like I just tweeted, some guy said he's going to destroy that bathroom. He said, not with a bomb. It's not a bomb.
This is not a danger to human life. And in parentheses, it is.
Yeah. Oh. So yeah, it's getting weird now that like the technology level is just so far away from what a standard citizen can have that I don't think like the coups and overthrowing governments is going to happen unless it's like third world. Unless these people are blasting each other away with AK-47s and AR-15s and stuff. So like unless you're like hand-to-hand combat with like knives and bullets and stuff, I think whatever government is out there right now is probably going to stick for quite a while.
This is wild, but it ties in with when new technologies, new control options happen. Aren't there new anti-technologies,
counters,
new ways? Yeah, counters for everything that happens. Like, what if everyone next Wednesday decided to set their bank accounts and turn off their student loan paybacks, and everyone in the entire United States has said, "Hey, we're not paying back student loans," and they all did it, regardless of the credit score. Like, if they all did it on one day and just stopped for months on end, what would happen to those companies? The government would either have to bail them out or they would all just disappear, right? How would they pay anyone, right? How funny would that be?
The system would implode. What was that?
Not the whole system.
It was part of it, yeah.
But
they would have to address it in some way. Silent protest.
I'm pretty sure either the government would have to just pay them enough to keep all the workers there, or else, like, how are the workers staying there? Who's floating the money? Who's paying the accountants, the people that go in every day? I think it would be so funny.
Let's all stop sending mail to each other, physical mail. So, United States Postal Service.
But you know what? Advertisers.
Everyone stop buying anything. No consumer goods are sold.
Yeah. Can we pick? There's Black Friday where everyone fights each other and kicks each other's asses to buy things and then like punches each other. What if there was like a 48-hour window where we didn't buy anything from anyone? I'm talking supermarket, 7-Eleven. How crazy would that be? What would we call it? No, we're not allowed to call it White Friday or something because that's offensive. But yeah.
I'm just envisioning like every parent in the United States is like decides they're not going to buy Christmas presents, and like the tree is completely bare underneath, and the parents are cheering on because they're screwing the government, and then there's a child in the background crying, and that's the reason he becomes a terrorist.
I can say it.
Yeah.
So to kind of bring it back to terrorism, do you remember when the Turkish goons fought the protesters on the lawn? I know you sent me the clip.
Yeah. So that was, they say that I think the Turkish embassy is around the corner, that Erdogan was still in his car, and he actually like gave like a hand signal to like his goons, and his goons went forward against people who were against him. So there were supporters protesting and I guess anti-Turkish protesters out there too. And the goons...
Turkish protester.
They're
just
Kurdish.
I'm trying to break it down.
I think they're Kurdish.
Oh, the Kurds.
So the Kurds are waving the flag, and to the Turkish people, they believe they're terrorists because it's closely associated with who fights them.
I saw that in the comments, and I didn't understand. So
yeah. So the Kurds were also the people who got, I think, mustard gassed in Iraq.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, I don't know if they're truly terrorists or not, and like just saying you're Kurdish shouldn't imply that you are a terrorist. That just seems ridiculous.
Not a good sign.
Especially not people who are Kurdish American and protesting in Washington, D.C.
Well, especially not a group that's in power can't say that about another group and say, well, they're terrorists.
All of you are all terrorists because you're not me.
Everyone who wants me to stop is a terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a blanket statement to put on.
So that was one of the most ridiculous videos, though. How frustrated were you watching it?
Not that frustrating. I watched it before I read the description and before I read all the comments and before I knew the context. I was like, oh, shit, they're throwing down on the White House lawn. And they don't even shoot these guys. They're just hitting them with a baton.
Yeah.
And the cameraman was doing an amazing job. He right down the lawn.
He had like a stabilizer. It was like perfect.
It's so good.
Cinematic.
So good.
I can't wait till they have drone footage where it's just like a 3D. It's like VR. You're jumping into you're trying to fight. That'd be amazing if they recorded it in VR and you got to beat protesters.
Welcome to Half-Life 3. It's finally here.
Yeah.
Pick up that can.
Or bodyguards, depending on which side you're on.
Yeah.
But
if you get my reference though, pick up that can. Favorite thing in the world. And everyone always didn't, and they would always just shock you and beat you with the batons. Put it in the trash.
But if you watch that video again, you'll notice that the police officers don't fight any of the bodyguards. They'll tell them to get off, but they don't
there was something weird going on there.
Because they knew of the political implications of battling a bodyguard. If someone had killed a bodyguard...
How awesome would it have been if a guy just took out a gun and just blasted like 8 bullets into a bodyguard and was like, oops! The only problem is I guess he'd be dead by
Castle
morning.
rule? I think that he might be dead immediately, but that's still castle rule. If there's people getting beaten in front of you and they're starting to get closer to you, I mean, that's
kind of right. You don't know where they're going to stop.
Which was, is it Second Amendment was gun rules? I forget which one was
the
Second
Amendment.
So like in that instance,
bear arms. The right, like if your arms turned into bears.
I wish that was a mutant ability. That would be amazing.
You ever see that's totally a T-shirt or something I've seen before somewhere. The right to bear arms is just spelled differently.
Yeah. Destroy some bodyguards. But I mean, none of those bodyguards were. I don't know if they ever got tried. I mean, they said they were going to, but
I don't know. Wait, dealt with by their own country.
Yeah,
we don't have the power to deal with them. So yeah, imagine if they're like, yeah, we're giving you a fine of $130.
Diplomatic immunity. Bodyguards beating.
Thing.
So they were even like beating women, like kicking them while they're on the ground and like choking them out.
They kick some damn broads. That's crazy.
I can't believe you use that. Nick is being purposely offensive, and he apologizes.
I'm being purposely offensive to prove a point. Actually, I don't know if it was to prove a point. I think I was just trying to.
Yeah, but anyway. I mean, that was I don't know. I don't know why that's allowable. You would think the police would be on your side, but no, apparently not. They were just trying to be like, let's calm things down, people. Just like people getting beat left, right. They just back it off,
let's calm it down.
No, but
it's in general, it's wild. Were you going to talk about this Saudi treatment of Wheatman?
So Saudi Arabia is also in the Stone Ages. I think their government is based off of a royal blood type of thing. That I think 300 years ago they had one ruler, and the descendants of that ruler have continued to control Saudi Arabia. And since it's an oil state, like they have all the money in the world, so I guess they just
keep
maintain
spending their
power.
way to whatever. Right.
Yeah. So here are some of the ridiculous things that Saudi Arabia does. Maybe.
We're not journalists that want to die.
Yeah, imposing prison sentences for tweeters. So anybody who's against the government and they tweet it out, they might come after you and put you in prison. And prison is probably not our prison where you get left alone and stuck in a cell. It's probably more like you get tortured.
It's worse.
Beaten, probably.
For the record, I always tweet at ICE.gov.
ISIS.gov or ICE?
No, ICE. Immigration control. What's the group? ICE that works in America.
What is ICE?
I actually don't know what that stands for. Immigration control.
I thought it was control. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Oh, Customs Enforcement. I tweeted ICE like every week or two.
What do you tweet at them?
Never anything like a threat, because that would be weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always like, oh my God, another agent at ICE. And I'll put it all in quotes and tag them and be like, offered to suck my dick in front of my kid. I don't know what to do. And then they never respond and they refuse to block me. Sometimes I'm like, ICE, 18 children were living in my work. And then I put a fake address in and I hope they go to it one day. I do that kind of stuff all the time. I think it's fun.
They're tracking you in some way, man.
Oh, but what am I going to do? Like marry an immigrant and hope they don't find me? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing anything immigration related, so I don't care. But I think they're a great organization, and I root for ICE. I root for them to win the battle against poor people who can't speak English or whatever whoever they beat up or separate children from their parents. Or is that what they do?
That's what we're led to believe. Yeah. Oh God.
No, I hear that's what they do because they're told.
Because that's what's on the fake news media. Some of that, I don't know, might be true.
Anyway,
might have happened once, and they play it up.
It probably did happen once or twice or 3 times or 5 times a day. But anyway, it's ridiculous. But to corral myself because I'm having a little too much fun. We root for ICE. Big ICE guys here. I just don't like how they offer to suck my you-know-what in front of my wife. So if I could tone it down a little bit, that'd be great. Moving on.
Saudi Arabia.
I would be arrested for sure for tweeting.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, you would have been.
That's where you're going.
You would have been canned. And then forbidding women to drive. I think that recently got overturned. I think they just recently allowed their women to drive. Good for Saudi Arabia.
Their accident rate just doubled.
Yeah. So they didn't want to take on the high insurance premiums until now.
See, now it's your turn to be bad. I didn't say that, folks. I'll just keep my mouth quiet after the little ICE thing.
Let's see. I know there are stories of people that have seen people commit crimes, like children stealing food and stuff. And their justice is swift. Like, I chop their hand off immediately in a public square. It's messed up. Like, you're just condemning someone.
Like in Aladdin?
I guess Aladdin? Do they do that in Aladdin? Do they actually chop a hand off, or they try? They hold them up with.
They were about to, and then Jasmine grabs the apple out of his back pocket and says, no harm here. The apple has been returned." Really, it was the same apple. So Aladdin owes his hand to justice. That's all I'm saying.
At least they didn't kiss in public, because PDA is also frowned upon. You're not allowed to
murder.
I don't know if they murder people who kiss in public.
Oh, okay.
They just imprison them and beat them and probably take their visas away, maybe, if they're foreigners.
Weird.
Yeah, you're also not allowed to be intoxicated, not drink. They find
Thank God we don't do that.
Mm-hmm. And what else do they do? I don't know. I'm fearful of going there. They always say, like, Dubai, it's the city of the future, and it's built by slaves that we've imprisoned here forever. And it's like, ooh, it's the same thing with Qatar. Like, Qatar is building a stadium, and it's built on the back of people who cannot leave the country because they took their visas.
Oh.
Like, ooh.
I mean, you win some, you lose some, right? That's the old expression. Is that what? I don't listen. I never heard you laugh like that. That's the funniest laugh. You were like, don't do it, don't do it. You did it. It's too late. You did it.
Oh, man. Those people are
for the record. For the record, we knew this episode would go sideways because we're clearly very conservative, pro-slave, pro-whatever else bad, pro...
I wish we could correct these things, but the U.S. government is so entwined in the oil fiasco and money, and they don't give a shit about human rights or justice.
Again, this comes down to something we said earlier. It's all about following the dollar. Whatever makes you the most money usually is what governments go with. Mm-hmm. Because government's made up of people. And you have enough people working together. Everyone hates their job, but they just want the money from the job. So boom. Ergo, let's make the most money.
Yeah, and to show our sensitive side, I think Nick has a story that might shed a light
look at this.
tear.
You're going to turn it around. Look at that. So I sell marble and granite. I sell countertops. No one cares. Do you want the $34.99 special? You want the $19.99 special? Like, what do you want? That's what it boils down to. A woman my age-ish, like 30, 40, came in with her mother. She was like 80-ish. Came in, selected a stone. It was because each stone is unique. They come out of the ground. We just polish them. I mean, we don't make it. I can't make it look like that ever again.
It's made by
but it's from a certain mountain that has a certain name, like Typhoon, Bordeaux. Look it up, folks.
Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds nice.
It is nice. It's like a level 5, 6. She picked it. The women were over here. They're holding the tag. Nick, is this available? They're holding it for me. I go over. I type it in. Yeah, we're good. Cool. I said, I got you, ladies. Have a nice night. I'm glad you guys came in. You know exactly what you wanted to buy. They came in 2 hours later. I never have 2 people. It's not even my customer. It was someone else's customer changing stone. They come in. They reach over to me. Nick. I need to hold tile up to the stone. Okay, no big deal. Bring them right back. Hold up their tile, their cabinet, or whatever, because everyone likes to match everything to their stone. That's what you got to do. As I'm looking, cold sweat starts running down my back because the tag they were holding up, asking me to do the check for, was for the stone behind that stone. And I should have known that, but I was like, oh, fuck, go. And I look at the other end, and it's a big old tag, and it says sold all the hell over it, right?
Oh, shit.
So I'm like,
oh boy.
One of these. So I'm like, ladies, let me double check something here. Let me see what's going on here. My voice gets real high, you know what I mean? It's totally sold. I tell her the old lady is the one that's the saddest, and I don't know why. It's like her mother-in-law.
It's like the darkness in their eyes and around their eyes, just like it's darker.
Well, it was her shoulders were low, like she wasn't holding herself up, like she didn't care, and she was slumping. And we showed her the two stones behind that one.
It's like the whites of her eyes are more like an eggshell now. It's fading off into a
off-white.
Yeah.
It matched her cabinets perfectly. Anyway. So I get the guys to show her the two behind it. She's not very excited. They have orange in them and whatever, and she didn't want that color. She keeps looking at the one. I showed her one over here that's broke. My guy Greg in the back, he has a ruler. He's like very Greek. He's like, no, will work fine. It will work fine. It will work fine for you. We will work it with the broken. We will make it work. He's trying to just get her to agree with it. And she's saying, okay, we'll do that. And she goes to the side, and I'm with her, and the other two are over there arguing, the daughter and Greg. And she goes, me and my husband saved up for 8 years, and we bought our own kitchen, and we put in the most beautiful granite. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. I know where this is going. He died like 3 months later.
Oh, shit.
So anyway, she lived in the house. They sold it like 5 years ago at this point. But in her new house that she has right now, they're redoing the kitchen. And she wants to recreate that kitchen exactly. It just would remind her of her husband. And I was like,
oh, man. That's a good fucking story.
So, what is it? Jumping in and out?
No, I'm shocked.
Oh, okay, good.
That was a good story. Yeah.
Anyway, she didn't like any of them that much. She's really depressed. We had her stone, and I ruined it. So she's leaving, and Greg goes, oh, no, check this one. And like it's like one of the weird ones to the side in the remnant pile. And she looked at it. She was like, that's okay. And I could tell. I'm like, fuck. I ruined it. We'll put it on hold, man. We'll look till we find a lab from somewhere. I don't know. Good luck. I love you. I don't know. I'll carry the tile out with you. I carried the tile out for her and the daughter. And they're not mad at me, but they're like disappointed and everything. They're real sad.
Yeah, they're pissed at you. They won't say it.
They weren't even pissed at me because she knows she held up the damn tag and asked me if it was
the wrong
available.
Tag.
But I should have known that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get to the front door, and Greg, the guy who's helping us, comes running out. He goes, Nick, get in 5 minutes. I'm like, all right. Mm-hmm. I go in the back. I've never done this with Greg. We got to like move slabs of granite. They weigh like 2,000 pounds each. I'm pulling this. I never moved this much granite, and we're just pulling in the like pile of stones that aren't labeled. They're not anything. This is like the no man's land. He gets to one, and it's Typhoon Bordeaux. Like we've had a lot of Typhoon Bordeaux. She doesn't like most of them. He goes, maybe this. Eh? I go, I don't know, Greg. We call her out. She comes out. This guy comes. The daughter's here. She's here. We're both standing here, and Greg has to pull it out with the crane. Well, they always just kind of lift it out. Yep. Well, because of where it is, it's in this remnant pile, and all this other stuff's going on around here. There's a crane here. There's a dumpster here. He can't move it that quick. So he's pulling it up slow as hell. And I'm just like, no, come on, dude. And it's the back of the slab, which just looks like white with like matting on it. And I'm like, flip it, dude. Greg, you got to flip it. Greg. You got to flip it, Greg. He turns it, and it's going like this. Once it turns halfway, the light hits it. I hear the lady gasp, and she goes like this and starts crying and nodding. And then I'm looking, and I'm like, what? And it's totally perfect now, and it's floating above us like this big square.
Spinning slowly.
And he starts slowly lowering it to like this
illuminated area in front of us, and she's crying. And she says, she may have said his name. I don't know what she said. And the daughter now, I look at her, and she's looking at her mother-in-law, and she's crying. And they're both crying, nodding. And I'm like, this is good? And she's crying so hard that I started welling up. And I said, I don't know you. Can I give you a hug? And I hugged her. I literally hugged this woman I'd never met. And I said, I'm really glad we found this. And I'm like choked up. And she goes over to Greg, he's a worker. He's not a salesman. He doesn't hug anyone. I don't think he's ever hugged anyone in his life. And she goes over to Greg and grabs him and cries into his arm and gives him like a hug. And he goes, he makes his face and he gives her like a half hug. I don't know. It's like a hug, but it isn't. And she goes, I want to thank you. I think I found my husband again or something. Aww. And I was like, I started crying, dude. I was like, I can't believe this. And to her, finding that exact slab of granite was better than the one that she thought she had. And it was like, I don't know. It was the weirdest thing ever. To love someone so much that rematching the countertop you had from 20 or 30 years ago meant more than all the shit I deal with on a day-to-day basis or sell. It had nothing to do with the granite itself. Just she loved him so much that I felt weird. I felt queasy in my voice. Like I couldn't, I was like crying, but I didn't want any of my coworkers to know. Except the two. Yeah, I was like, everything's great, guys. But it was just like a movie. It was just it was really wild. And I think about it every night since it's happened. And I really hope they install it properly. I will kill them. Yeah. I will kill them. I will kill everyone involved.
Metaphorically. With speech.
Really?
With speech.
With weapons. Hammers. The hammer murderer.
I don't know that I have an affinity for anything physical that much. I mean, if you embodied somebody as a slab of granite, I guess seeing that slab of granite could make them come back in some form.
Like, what about your son? Like, if he, God forbid, passed away at 5 or something, and like you were like, he loved this countertop, like you would be so obsessed with it in 10 years from now that you would well up. There's no, like, I was literally crying, and I don't know her husband. I don't know what the countertop originally looked like. I was just welling up because her emotion was coming out of her. It was powerful.
Do you think men have that innate emotion? Because mostly it's women who are reacting in that way, right?
I agree, but
because you held back your emotion.
I have a ton of woman qualities, dude. And now I match people's granite to their countertops and stuff and their cabinets, and I talk about off-white and warm colors. I cry when I see certain slabs of granite. I don't know.
It's really affecting the way you are, Nick.
It might be. I don't know. But
you're so sensitive and gentle and respectful.
As we have seen from the past 15 minutes.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know. Well, here's a real question. It sounds like a big jump, but I don't know that it is. Is any group, what is a terrorist group?
Do you think they shed tears together? They cry and hug each other?
I imagine most terrorist groups think they're doing something for the good. They think they're the good guys, right?
Probably, yeah.
How extreme of a level would you need to be brought to think you have to literally blow up cities of people who are both women, children, soldiers, everyone. You don't care. You just need to blow up a city to protect your kids. I don't know. You have to have some crazy thoughts. Like, I don't think people in ISIS or whatever think, I'm the bad guy. Haha, I got him today. I'm just going to ruin some lives. They're like, we are the good guys. We are going to stop America from ruining our world. You have to feel so deeply about that it's like...
That's why I wonder if you gave them a plot of land where they could actually sustain themselves and said, you're your own country now, just stop blowing things up. Do you think they could actually...
Kids, your family here?
Yeah. Do you think they could actually raise their own families, raise their own, government and make it work?
I'll put it this way. How about if you you said, here are your kids, they're safe. Here's your land, it's safe. Here are your beds, they're warm. It's not a big area, but it's yours. Do you want to continue being in ISIS or whatever? Do you think any of them would keep going, or would they just be like, I got it? Like, do you mean the only reason I think you can be in a group like this or a terrorist cell is because you don't have your family anymore? They've been taken from you for something. You don't have a home to go to.
I think that's part of it. I was watching an Anthony Bourdain special about, I think it was an island that was just like third world, but they didn't have anything to do. Like there was a young population that wanted to do something, and a majority of them would like leave and go fight in wars that weren't theirs. So they would go to like ISIS and say, we just want to do something. We want to change something. Like they don't, like in that case, I don't think the soldier mentality really fits in with like a homesteading mentality where you're just saying, I just want to comfortably live. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's like 10 years from now and you're projecting that you're going to be a glorious soldier
you're 40.
That sets up a life that you can control. But I don't know. I don't know if that's, I mean, people just really want something to work towards, but I don't think that those soldier people are there yet to be homesteaders and sit down and relax and take it easy.
What about information? So like China and a bunch of other countries, they won't even let you read facts. Like they don't let you. Like
anything against their government, they're not going to let you read.
Yeah. If you let every member of ISIS read anything they wanted for like a week, no one could censor them. No one could do anything. They could talk to whoever they wanted to. Do you think that would change something?
So this came up in our privacy episode too. Like you have to give someone enough privacy, actually their own privacy, so that they have enough time to gain their own opinion and be isolated from the group that they're in to garner, and form an opinion that's their own. Like if you're constantly ingrained in a group, which I think most of these people in these terrorist cells are.
100%, dude. Yeah, they're like up 17 hours. They're constantly. They don't let them. Hey, Johnny, way to hang guard last night and kill a couple kids. Do you mind going down the block and just relaxing for 3 days? You can bring a couple books. You can do some Buddhist stuff. I'll catch up with you later.
Here's my iPad. There's some internet down at the cafe in the corner.
See you, my man. Yeah, like no, they're constantly under instruction or watch or
this is also
doing something.
This is also in the guise of religion. That religion gives you a base set of morals, and you follow those morals, and sometimes it doesn't work out where people battle each other over the morals. But there's a percentage of people that do not look out for the welfare of more than themselves. They don't really analyze the situation in a way that resolves it. I think people will accept things for what they are until they end up in some consequence, and then maybe they realize that
they have to reevaluate.
Themselves. Yeah, but I don't think people are given the opportunity to figure it out. So like people who go off and fight in wars, they're probably just going along with whatever the group mentality is.
Hey, I did high school. Next up, college. Okay, I did that. Next up, go to war. Next up, get a job. Next up, have a kid. Like it's like very
segmented. Plus, for us, if we had the same life in the same location from, first education until college education, quote unquote, if you were with the same group of people, your mindset is going to be so like biased towards whatever those people believe in that area. I don't know that you ever break that. Like if you're going to college with essentially the same type of people for 20 plus years, your personality is pretty much set at like 25. So you have 5 years to resurrect the 20 years of whatever people told you.
I was going to disagree, but I mean, think of it. If you're the dude who spilled beans on his pants in day one, like Beano pants,
hey,
bean pants, bean pants. Like you could be 18 years later,
Beano pants.
Bean pants. But I mean, there's stuff like that. I mean, it's like I don't know. You can't recreate yourself until you step away from a group. You can't.
So this folds into one of the rules in Saudi Arabia is that you can't travel alone until you're 45. So
45?
So that's
So who do you got to go with if you're some like 33-year-old dude who's single? Or who do you go with?
I guess you go in pairs. You can go with somebody else.
Hell yeah. UnPander is taking a trip to Saudi Arabia. We're going to show them what's for. Ooh, yeah.
That was one of my questions. Is if Dubai is such a happening place and you wanted to go there, would you personally go there?
No, because I don't have money. This is honestly the number one reason. So, okay, I have indispensable length.
Wealth.
Yeah, because I have so much money. I'm only going to the nice areas. Like,
and you could buy your way out of it, right? You can buy your. You have enough money to say, F it, I'm gone.
And I'm only going to the rich areas. I'm only going to the 6-star hotel at the top of the glass tower on a man-made island.
Breaks the rules, yeah. It says you could drink wherever you want.
But I wouldn't do anything in between.
That's true.
I'm not like, I got some money. Let's just hang out and see what the locals do.
Yeah.
Nope.
Let's get a feel for the culture around here. I wonder if Bourdain went to a Saudi Arabian country city. I don't know that he has. He goes to Dubai. I think that'd be.
We can look through it. I'm not sure.
We'll come back with this one later.
Correction, folks.
I personally wouldn't. It would scare the crap out of me. Just like I guarantee you would see weirdness throughout the city, throughout the culture, things that didn't make any sense and probably will never make any sense. And I don't think that I could stand it. I could see a lot of people being like wanderlust people that just enjoy traveling and they say it's a beautiful country with beautiful sunrises, and it's just like that's not what I look at in a country, and it scares the crap out of me.
Well, let's bring it back and finish up here. Journalist was killed. Beautiful country.
Yeah, Khashoggi killed in Turkey. Consulate.
I guess
because he was free speaking.
What does make a country beautiful? Because you just said, I don't care how beautiful your sunsets are. I'm not going there if it's my life on the line. So your life isn't worth a beautiful sunset. That's clear.
Yeah. You want the best for your family, which is like very cliche, right? But the best for your family is that they can live the life that they want to live, because you don't know what your son wants to do. Like, as long as he has the ability to do what he wants to do, I guess that makes your country great, right?
But aren't we the sons?
We're the sons of the country. That was great.
No, of our parents. And they wanted us to do whatever the hell we wanted. That's why they live the life they live.
Perpetuity.
Yeah, we're just perpetuating this idea that no, I'm going to suffer. I'm going to do the things because I want my son to be able to do what he needs to do or wants to do. But isn't that what our parents did so that we would be able to do whatever we wanted?
Is this what you wanted to do,
And isn't that what
Nick?
their parents did?
Did you know you wanted to do a podcast, Nick? Is that what you're getting at?
I knew it since I was birthed.
And your parents are okay with that? They don't even watch the show. Yeah. I told my parents and they didn't watch any. They're like, that's great, son. Good. I guess that's good. Good job. They don't care. They don't give a shit anymore. You're old. Who gives a fuck about you?
It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
We get in a whole bunch of weird areas. I don't even want to open up a new weird area. I just want to kind of close it up. I want to figure out what's a nice way to bring this all together.
Button it up. Let me see.
Like calling each other the F word in the locker room, not okay anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Do you want to do locker room?
No, I didn't. I just wanted to bring it up because we were going to do locker room talk, but there's not enough time. We can't do locker room talk.
No, we can't. I don't know how it fits in.
Anyway, how many times would people roll up hockey tape over their equipment and throw it at somebody? Oh my God. I got something sticky in my arm here. Woo! I got it.
I mean, everyone tries to hit the trash can in the middle, but they always miss.
Yeah, of course. Well, then there's people who throw it at other people they like or don't like.
Intentionally, yeah. And then you have to figure out whether it was good or bad.
Locker room stuff is... Have you ever seen a locker room incident that resulted in an actual real-life fight?
Well,
it's usually fun and games and then chiding.
There's like locker room boxing where you wear a helmet and you wear the gloves.
Wear the gear and the gloves.
But then you punch each other. I legitimately knew how to fight, and the person I was battling did not. And I punched him in the stomach, right in his I don't know if that's like off areas, but it's like it's still in the gut.
It is.
The diaphragm. He couldn't breathe right afterwards, so I was like, "What do you?" I mean, I don't know. If you're trained to fight, it's very hard not to take advantage of somebody because it's just there. It's instinctual.
Jerk.
An asshole.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, still, that's you could punch to the head could be seen as a bad choice. We're gonna punch him in the arms or something like what the who does that?
Anyone ever do drugs in your locker room? I'm trying to think. I don't think anyone ever did.
Maybe weed.
I don't even know. In a hockey locker room, like what, after the game or before the game?
I've seen people like pound like 2 or 3 of them before they go play.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
beer league.
Yeah.
The coolest thing is I played in a 35 and older league when I was 30. The only reason they let me play is because I was really bad. And there was one guy they always called like Jase. Oh, it's fucking Jase. I forget his name. I'm making it up. It's fucking so-and-so. Might be 2 syllables, might be 1. I can't remember.
JC.
And I was like, why do you guys call him that? And they were just like, I don't know. So every night it was a different person's turn to bring like a 30 rack of beer, or a 24 rack of beer, even just 12 beers, because there's only like 12 of us, 15 of us. We only need a beer each.
Yeah.
So it came his night, and I happened to have like 3 or 4 beers in my bag, and it was so funny. He goes, "Yo, guys, good game," and he's tapping his beer, right? He's like, "Who wants a beer?" And no one raised their hand because like they were all like, "Oh, fucking jeez." And I was like, "I'll take one." And he threw me the beer, and I caught it. And he's like, "Yo, way to go!" And he snapped. He grabbed in his bag and opened his beer, and I took a sip, and he took a sip, and he was like, "Yeah, nice." And he's like, "All right, guys, I got to roll." And then he rolled, and I was like, "The fuck was that?" And they were like, "Oh, that's fucking Jace. He brings 2 beers anytime it's his night. He gives the first person 1 beer. He opens the second beer, and that's it. He bounces." And I was like, "He does it every time it's his turn?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's never once bought more than 2 beers." And to make that inconspicuous, you gotta give your free beer, and then you gotta roll. You gotta get out quick.
Did he pound his beer? Is he? He's not sitting here.
Most of it. No, he took it on. He took it to go.
Oh.
It's a men's league.
He rolled with it.
It was like Ice World or whatever. He just went with it. What are they gonna do? But I was like, what? And they were like, "Enjoy your beer." Only one person gets a beer a week from Jace or whatever his name was. I forget. I mean, there's stuff like that goes in the locker rooms. I think that's funny.
So, like the things that happen in the locker room, like
co-ed locker rooms.
So co-ed, I have had co-ed locker rooms, and there have been discussions about physical things that might happen to me in those locker rooms that never happened. But there's a weirdness. Like either you're way too polite. There've been ones that have been in public. So like there's no locker room for like the rec league at college, and you're all changing in the same area. For guys, it doesn't matter, but I've played with women on my team too in that same like open area of changing, and like I'll give it to them. The women who change in a public area, that they're pretty badass. I'll give it to them. That's terrible.
I'm just moving my back.
Give them the credit. Give them the credit for being strong enough to do that, because a lot of women like don't trust their bodies. They're sensitive, and they feel like they're being judged. And
my sister went to a lot of my hockey teams, dude.
Yeah, she did not. What was her perspective on this?
I feel like she would just have a shirt on and like what's it called? The woman bra that's for sports
bra. Yeah.
A woman's
bra for sports.
Listen, I'm not getting too into it. And then she would just put a shirt or a hoodie over top of it. So she was never like, I don't even think she was down to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean,
you don't wear panties.
She's a scumbag like everyone else. And, you ain't doing that. And then shorts, like the hockey shorts she would wear for whatever. So like, you know, I'm looking around like, what you guys looking at?
Don't look at my sister.
You know what's funny? You know, she married a guy on a hockey team.
Yeah. Who's checking out your sister? Yeah.
I guess he was.
Sneaking some looks. But as dudes, I mean, in an all guys locker room, you're pretty much stripping completely naked, and you're like someone will say something, and you look to the right, and it's just like a man's junk.
How naked did you get? Did you get? You went all the way, and you got most of your locker rooms?
I'll say this: when I was younger, I was afraid of that. Like I didn't want to show anybody my junk at all. Like I didn't want to be naked. So like if I was naked, it'd be like boom, boom, and I'd be like, oh, I changed.
Yeah. Off, on.
There were times when I changed and like I was like, oh no, I'm fiddling with like pulling it up, and I just gave somebody the brown eye. Yeah.
Oh no.
And they're like, Dan, you didn't mean to do that, do you? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. It didn't happen. But these sort of things, like you're all awkward until you get older, and when you get older, you don't give a shit. So there's dudes that are just like walk around naked. They're just like patting their junk dry after they took a shower, and it's just like there's people that like the best is like they're drying off.
Dry that bad boy.
The best
Helicopter.
So there's like a door to the shower, right? There's always their kind of locker rooms are always almost the same. It's a locker room and then like a bathroom and a shower back there. So there's one guy that is like the fun-loving, doesn't give a fuck about anything guy. He's the guy who's sitting right by the door, and as guys are going in to take a shower, they're naked with a towel over their shoulders. He's going, and then he smacks him right on the butt. You get the handprint.
Real hard.
And that's how you know, like, you're on a good team. Like, honestly, because he'll do that to anybody. And, yeah, whatever happens, it's just like, you know, he doesn't mean any harm by it. But you remember those moments.
Just enough physical harm that it leaves an imprint. But no more than that.
But there's emotional positivity there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
It heals while it hurts.
Sounds pretty deep.
Yeah. I'm hugging you.
I used to play with a kid who would this happened 2 separate times. He ordered a McDonald's McRib when it was back. And he tried to eat 2 of them before a game. And he would sit down and eat them before the game. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, don't worry, it's gonna give me energy. He threw up like 8 minutes later, like over the back. And I was like, what are you doing? So anyway, he did it on a playoff game, and I was like, he's like, it's just 1 this time. And I was like, his logic was unbeatable. I was like, you're right, but you're wrong. It's not just 1 this time. He was like, that was 2. And I was like, he threw up again. He had to spittle over the edge and he needed a few minutes. And I was like, why would you? A McRib? The McRib is back? Really?
We've had that with
a lot of stuff in a locker room.
Ice cream and pizza. I've seen people do that. You never.
Terrible idea.
I don't like you're playing hockey. Your
I
stomach.
I don't even like to drink water before a game because it like sloshes around.
Yeah.
And if I drink too much, because I get nervous, I drink too much water.
It does not work. It does not work. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and then there's the whole essence of locker room talk, which is why we got into it. We're not talking about locker room talk. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, I dropped some, that's gay, you're so gay. I don't say that stuff anymore.
Not offensive.
And
intentionally.
No, exactly. Dude, back then, I wasn't saying it to say, you're a homosexual who is in love with a homosexual. Like, it was more like that was the bad word at the time that no one wants you to say. Like, there's something to be like rebellious and everything else. And going to an all guys high school.
Yeah, that's the obvious thing.
Anyone in an all guys high school doesn't say it. So while I did say it, and if anyone drugged it up, they'd be like, "This guy was calling people gay."
Yeah, no one.
Me? I don't think so. Absolutely, I did, and I apologize for it. You know what I mean? It's like tacky when you look back on it. You're like, ooh, I didn't mean it like the way they
I like
say
how
it
uptight
now.
you're getting right now, because honestly, in a locker room, you're allowed to say whatever the hell you want in a locker room. I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, did you hear what Nick just said? Like, no one.
Can you imagine if everyone was just dropping the N-word every 5 seconds and like, we should do this with the N-word? You'd be like, yeah, that's not locker room talk. You'd be like, what are you?
Yeah,
what you're doing?
That, yeah.
Yeah. So there's an essence of locker room talk where it's protected. It's like you can kind of be outlandish and silly and fun and goofy. But there is a limit where if your locker room talk boils over, like you're not. What are you doing?
There was so this happened yesterday. I was in the locker room. Someone said, "Oh, we used to have a male porn star on our team, and his cock ring was huge." And like, You're like,
That's fine.
yeah,
I don't think that's a problem.
That's okay. You're allowed to touch
Cock
him.
ring?
His cock ring was huge. I don't know. He didn't specify how big his cock was. I assume that it's proportional.
If the ring was big. Can you imagine if he just had a ring that was this big every time he tried to put it on?
It's a little tiny acorn.
And he just fall off every time, and everyone's like, "This guy's ring's too big! Oh my god!" So that he was talking to us, like, "My ring.
Get it properly sized."
If you ever yelled "get it properly sized" at a guy, that's awesome.
But he was talking about how he was a male porn star and had all these stories. And dude, like the stories you hear about, like the sexual triumphs and failures, and then like the weird merging of like accidental sexual things. Like people talk about all sorts of weird stuff that you'll never hear anywhere else. So like one of the reasons I play hockey is to get physically fit, but to also listen to these crazy stories, which you wouldn't hear anywhere else. And I wonder.
It's a good point. Where else? There is a point to be made where you're so free to say any weird word, crazy story, bad word. There's no limits. There's no judgments. There's no anything going on. So you hear the core of man. I don't know, the wild, wild west of life. I don't know.
As dirty as it gets. I feel like the locker room is like a speck of like what probably like if you were in like a real like an establishment, quote unquote establishment, that was like filthy, like then you could probably talk about it. But then at that point you become like genuinely dirty. Like,
by the way, hockey players are the dirtiest people in the world.
Yes.
They hock and loogie on the floor, like just right while they're getting changed. They hardly ever bathe. They smell terrible. They reuse all of their equipment. Their gloves. Do you know what hockey gloves smell like? When you take your hockey gloves off, as I know well, because I don't
wash your hands
gloves,
like 5 times.
And it still smells like hockey glove. You're like,
yeah, it's pretty disgusting. But you've seen like NHL players. I just remember like Jeremy Roenick taking a puck to the face. He took his jaw, like the right part of his jaw when it was split in two, and was moving it around, being like, "Yep, this is broken," and like blood is gushing out of his mouth, and he skates off the ice. But he's not upset. He's just pissed that he can't play hockey. So I was like, that badass.
It is badass. There's something.
It's like I just lost this tooth. Just like fuck this tooth.
Yeah. Darian Hatcher I think it was Darian Hatcher that actually broke his jaw.
I think it was.
They were later teammates. Interesting. Wild was that? Well, to bring us back around, Donald Trump said something was locker room talk.
Oh, yeah.
And he may be right.
What did he say? You have to say what he said. We'll grab him in.
I actually don't know. Grab her by the pussy?
I think that was the thing.
Okay.
Was that was in reference to who? It was
any woman who knows you're famous, just grab them by the pussy. And here's my thing. I think if any of my teammates ever said that, I would be like, "Oh, you're a piece of shit, Roro," or whoever. And then like it would be a laughing point. I wouldn't be like I wouldn't press charges or anything like that. But Donald Trump has probably never played a sport in his life. What locker room?
I also wonder, like, I feel like golf, maybe that, like, I haven't played much golf, but you could pretty much say anything. No one's going to hear you. It's in a group of maybe like 4 people.
I'm also not going to judge golf locker room talk because I don't do golf. But
he's also saying on like a sexual level that he is like dominant in some way, which is baffling. Like that a woman would actually genuinely be attracted to that. So like, how are you gonna grab them by the sexual like innuendo? It doesn't make any sense. Like for him, maybe he's just trying to be a badass.
It's a brag. It's a braggadocious thing that's not even true.
Yeah,
and it's vulgar to show that he's one of the guys. Like, yeah, that's what I do. I show the girls that I grab them by their boobies down here between the legs.
Those
and I really
sandbags. They feel real.
I grab them sandbags. I know what's up.
I like to juggle them like beach balls.
It's more offensive if you're not one of the guys and you're hiding your vulgarity as if you are one of the guys. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, I guess when you get in a group of guys that have experienced some like crazy shit and they're all sharing stories and you're the only one who doesn't have a story, you kind of feel like you want to make it up. It's almost like a mentality that you're going to try to project who you aren't. It's just a match.
Well, there's also a thing where even if a guy says some effed up stuff, or he's a real douchebag, or he's kind of a jerk, he has to make up for it. I mean, he has to either play his heart out, or take pucks to the face, or dive all over the place, and then put the team on his shoulder and buy beer for everyone. Like there's unwritten rules we didn't even get into. Like you can't just be like, I play hockey, I'm in a locker room, now I can say whatever the hell I want. Like, no, you'd be the jackass clown. You have to. There's so many facets to who you are in a hockey team or a whatever team.
I do miss those times when you had, like, in high school and in certain adult leagues, we had the same team for like 4 or 5 years, and you knew the intricacies of like who a person was and what they were going to respond to, and like you'd hear a comment and you'd just be like, and then like that guy would say the comment that you expected, and then the whole room would just be like, he just like everyone would slowly move towards that guy to just see what he would do, and he you know, it's like Brett, he's gonna ramp up right now, and then he drops a story about like he did this ridiculous thing, and I can't talk. That was my mother.
You know, it was his mother, and it was like almost fist fight in the line. That's cool. I love that.
But that's the bond that. I don't know that other, like, as far as like a sexist thing, like I don't know that women feel that bond in the same way. Like they might discuss things, but I don't think
I think they do, but not in the sports realm. Like they could feel it in maybe their major, their career, their different things they do. I just don't think it happens in. I know maybe there are women hockey teams. I don't know.
Maybe they do. I don't. But I know there's one woman. Know. It's not in the competitive nature. So, like, again, the hockey room talk is after you play a game and if you just got in a brawl with somebody, all the dudes on your team are just, like, ready to fight everyone else. Like, if you get in a brawl, there's a, like, I got your back notion. So if you get decked in, like, an illegal way, someone cross-checks you and boards you, your teammates, if you have a good team, they will back you up and then beat the crap out of that person. I don't know that happens on a female team. And I know...
It does.
It does? It does?
Yeah, not to the same extent, but it does. It's not unheard of. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Because I've heard stories. My sister's team.
That they bonded that much that they were able to back each other up and get pissed,
or that they're manlike enough, like their
testosterone
a bit earlier, a little bit. Yeah, you know what I mean.
But I think that's a rarity, though. Like I think it's for men, it's
could be
sort of common, but for women, it's probably a little bit rare. I know one woman who was the captain of her, I guess, cross-country team, and she said she wasn't competitive. She just liked the social aspect.
Dude.
It's soft. How do you, I know.
I mean, you don't. But would you hand off the baton? That's your big connection.
Yeah, that's your connection.
He hands off hard. She hands off like really soft. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but to be a captain of a team and just like be like, I don't like sports. I just like talking to people. Like it's like a weird, like you just
literally said your favorite part of men's league was the stories more so than the game, didn't you?
I don't know if that's true.
I think you said it in this episode 15 minutes ago.
We're going to look back on this episode. Because I love playing hockey.
You're like, I do it for fitness, but that's not really why I'm there. I'm there for the stories.
But I mentioned fitness first.
You mentioned it. Regardless, locker room talk is sort of sacred. You don't get it anywhere else, I guess, right?
Yeah, the nasty stuff that people do and the honesty.
And talk about and say.
Yeah. And you could be as a vile a person as you want to be in that locker room, and people probably won't. They definitely won't report you.
No.
Oh, he said this in the locker room. It's like,
imagine if the Golden State Killers playing on a hockey team, and he was like, I raped 13 women and had sex in 18 villages, and I've never been caught by the police. And everyone on the team was just like quietly in the locker room. They were like,
I don't know.
Is this a hockey thing? Are you joking?
I mean, even Trump used that, right? He just said it's locker room talk. Grab him by the pussy, it's locker room talk.
So there are probably rules. But you know the rules innately. I guess maybe we don't talk about them enough because we're men. We don't like to talk about our feelings. I talk about granite and marble. I talk about feelings now. That's my thing.
Eggshell. Off-white. Beige.
Warm, cool colors. Tie in the other rooms.
The true art of being a salesman.
Let the countertop do the talking. Let your backsplash kind of just reflect that. To recap, folks, we were talking about all sorts of wild and crazy stuff. Kobayashi, right?
Yeah, Kobayashi. What was the
hot dog eating champion?
Usual suspects?
Kagashi. Is it Kagashi?
Kobayashi?
No.
Kobayashi was the usual suspects.
No, okay. I thought you were talking about the dude. The journalist. I was like,
Khashoggi.
Khashoggi, thank you. Actually,
Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi.
So, the free press is under attack. He was murdered. CIA says it was probably
Crown Prince.
The prince.
All his dudes, all his close dudes, flying to Turkey and
could be a problem
planning it out.
We're supporting the prince, but anyway.
Yeah, all that oil and military power controlling a region that is in uprising.
Couldn't be related.
Syria, we talked about a lot. We covered so much of Syria that it's just.
We talked about the whole Saudi Arabia thing. I mean, we literally covered the history, the politics, the demographics, the religion. You probably tuned to us if you're from any website and you were like, I need to know more about the situation. Boom, we filled you in.
Gotcha.
Another thing we talked about is Turkey, the country as a whole.
Yeah.
Authoritarian
dictatorship. Erdogan, his military.
You're hungry? You're hungry. It's late at night. You got to go in the microwave. I want some dictators.
And the coup and how he silenced hundreds of thousands of people.
The coup.
Coup d'etat.
Coup d'etat.
Etat.
I want to get me some etats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 10
Another
to
thing
the
we touched on is
80th power hydrogen.
H to the 10 to the 80th H. Thank you. I'm still thinking about it. You said, didn't you say
10 to the 80th?
You said 10 to the 80th?
Yeah, I did. I got it right.
Watch the tape. I thought you got it off by one, but never mind. Okay.
You have a lot of you're a skeptic. You're a skeptic tonight. A lot of skepticism.
Skepticism, and then we filled it out with everyone wants to talk about the Istanbul and everything else, and we said, "Hey, locker room talk.
Yeah,
let's bring it over here.
Consulate, embassy, murder,
M. Parker
bury him in a well.
M. Parker just punched right in the lineup. He said, "Too bad you fucking lost." Punched Michael Parker right in the face. I'll never forget that. After we won. Locker room talk.
Yeah.
What we talk about the dames. We talk about the broads. We talk about the guys. We talk about the gals.
Refs. Oh, they're always suck.
Oh my
they're
god,
terrible.
The refs are always.
Can't believe they called that one penalty. You know that penalty? You see that? I can't believe that didn't even happen. I don't even know what he's talking about.
I started a chant with the fans when I was walking by one time. Frank shoots blanks. Frank shoots blanks. Because the ref's name was Frank and he was a little older. Yeah, that was a good one. Number 47, I know what you did. Oh, what did I fucking do, Frank? You're getting two. You're in the box, pal. Yeah, the refs were the best in men's league because, they're players on other teams, so they know everyone in the league. They're looking at you like, 22, did I see you eyeballing? I didn't see shit, Frank. Well, guess what? You're getting two for the rough. I didn't rough, dude. Get in the fucking box. I love that stuff. When you can get a little back and forth with them,
Mm-hmm.
It's like locker room talk where we talk about our secrets. We might say bad things that maybe we don't mean. We might say bad things maybe we mean. It's hard to tell the difference. It's a secret world. It's a safe world. As long as you don't cross certain lines. We didn't really get over the lines, but you know them when you see them.
Yeah.
It's also one of the coolest places. Guy be walking by, you see a butt, you smack it. That's what you do.
You're
you roll
showering.
up your hockey tape.
Yeah.
Boom. That's what you do. You got snot rockets? Just blow them on the floor. No one's going to stop you.
You're showering naked and you're both next to each other. You talk eye to eye. Don't look down. Naked conversation.
It's a rule.
I don't know any other place where you could have a naked conversation with Anybody.
People are often pooping with the stall door open. That's too far for me.
Yeah, that's a touch too far, especially if there is a stall door and they choose not to shut it.
Yeah.
That's
Oftentimes there isn't, but if there is, even then, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lock on that thing. I'm like, can I shut this for you? No. Leave that open.
We good.
We're good. Don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it. That's what we talked about.
We summed it all up. You believe that? That was incredible.
Well, we do.
People of the world.
We certainly do.
Folks at home, we friggin' like you. We friggin' like you a lot.
Yeah.
Donate right down here. Add to our Patreon. Throw money over here. Give us money over here. Or don't. We don't friggin' care.
Good night.